Hello, hello, hello. Let me see how this is going. Okay, so we are already coming in and this is happening. So at the last minute, I messaged my friend and also assistant in the back end office of my other business. I was like, hey, are you doing anything? Can you hop onto my webinar, my masterclass at 1 and let people in? Because I can't always see if they're in. So if you are here, if you would find your way to, I can see you're hopping on now. So find your way to the chat. Let me know your name, where you're calling in from, why you're calling in from where you are today, and just share with me just a little bit about where you are. I think the chat is working. I'm trying to see if, okay, Catherine's in, people are in. This is so great. Oh, hi, Deb. Y'all, if you saw my Insta stories this morning, I was like, I literally like on Saturday, I was just going to email everybody and be like, can we do it today? Because I have really been this excited to just share this with you today and be here. Jennifer says she's from North Carolina. She loves having me as your business coach and can't wait to soak in more of what I'm going to tell you. So sweet. Amy says, hey, from Alabama. What are we in Alabama? We've got Minnesota, North Carolina, Alabama. And Katie's a client. Deb, so glad you're here. Amber's in New Mexico. Always excited to hear what I have to say. Thank y'all so much for being here. I am truly, truly excited to share with you what I have and have prepared. So Sally, hey, Sally, in Johns Creek, are we recording? Yay. So like I said, I truly am just so grateful to share and to be here and to talk about starting and scaling this calling that you have and these ideas that you have, and trying to do this correctly on my end, but I think it's happening. So thank you, Catherine, for being here and seeing if everything goes good behind the scenes. I did a teaching a couple weeks ago, and I was kind of like letting people in the whole time, but I didn't set up the call. Mary in Tennessee, excited. Hey, Mer. And so anyway, here we are, and I am ready to get started. If you have never done a webinar style call, I should have told y'all this beforehand that you could have been in your jammies if you wanted to be. But with a webinar, you won't have to worry about being on the screen unless at the end you wanted to ask a question. And so if you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a portion that says raise your hand. So you'll just raise your hand and I will bring you on. You can decide whether or not your video is on, or you may decide at the end, and I hope to answer most of your questions, but if I don't, feel free to email me, feel free to message me on Instagram, voice memo me, however you want to get through. And that is totally fine. Like I said, we'll have questions at the end, but I do hope to answer those questions now. And I will also say this again, because people may be hopping on sooner rather than later and later rather than sooner. But I do also want to say that if you have not yet watched the replay of the teaching I did in Edie's membership on my story, basically, that is a really, really important piece to what I'm sharing today. This is more of a teaching class type thing. And my story really shares a lot of the background leading up to today, really. B, it's really important. And what I want you to know is how your story also plays into where God may be calling you as it relates to a coaching business or the business that you have in your heart and in your mind that's not out in the world, or it's not like being scaled in the world, whatever that might look like. So with that said, that was a very helpful video. kind of with some background info, as well as the teaching on who before how. I feel like my clients are like going to get that tattooed on their arms, who before how, because it's so true. So without further ado, let me get my screen where it needs to be to pull up. Oh gosh, I don't want to do that. It said end meeting. No, do not end the meeting. Okay. Bear with me for 2 seconds here. Okay. I feel like I've never done this before, but I promise I have. All right. We're going to share the screen here. Okay. Here we go. All right. Whoopsie days. I want that to not be there. Is this okay? Are we good? Can you give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can see everything? We good? Okay. Okay, so welcome to Start and Scale Your Calling, where you step into who God has called you to be so that you can do what He's called you to do. I am your host, Amberly Devers. And like I said, I am so grateful to be here with you today. That won't work. Okay, here we go. So this is for the Christian woman who wants to start and scale the calling that God has on her life to bring hope and health and happiness or healing or whatever it is that God has called you to be and to do, that you're an expert in for others in some way. But you find yourself not knowing how to really get started or how to scale what you have possibly already started while doing it calmly and in a simple way and staying present in your life. This is for the Christian woman who wants to understand how life and business are related and learn how managing your heart and your mind and the math is behind actually creating that simple and peaceful and profitable business that you desire. This is also for the Christian woman who wants to build your business without sacrificing the ones you love the most through hustle, through grind, and through burnout. This is for the Christian woman who wants to create the certainty and the capability that is needed to reach that financial goal that you desire through private coaching. If you are a Christian woman and you find that you want your life and you want business coaching and you want business teaching to be in a community that is supportive and encouraging, then this is for you today. It's also for the Christian woman who wants to figure out how to work those number of hours per week that work best for your family while using your passion to create up to 6 figures without complication and hustle. This is for the Christian woman who wants to figure out how to make your life dream come true. And so if you are currently overworking or over-researching or over-consuming content and you're a Christian woman, this is for you as well. So the difference that you're going to kind of hear from me today and what I'm really focusing on and what I do focus on a lot in my coaching and in my teaching is really speaking to you. If you are someone and you find yourself spending more time disengaged from your family, trying to get this special thing of yours off the ground, okay, where you find yourself consuming and brainstorming and comparing yourself to others and talking yourself out of it to a place that you are stuck. Or if your said thing is off the ground, but now it's very slow and you find yourself really being afraid of putting yourself out there because you don't feel like you know how to do the salesy stuff that it takes to actually bring the clients into the coaching program that you have created. And you think that there's no way you're going to ever get it right. And guess what? Our thoughts lead to our results. And so you are absolutely proving yourself to be true, because when you think there's no way you'll ever be able to get it right, you don't. I need to keep my cursor there. Okay, so my promise to you today is that over the next hour, I'm going to teach you the 5 major shifts that you will need to make if you want to launch or relaunch or start or scale, and ultimately stop quitting on yourself and giving up on those brilliant ideas that you have for good. I do believe that this training is going to save you hours and days and months. I believe that you can make a decision today that will save you time and money, and fill you with belief in what is possible. Because it is possible to create a simple, balanced, and scalable one-on-one coaching business without the chaos and the confusion and the complication that keeps you from showing up for your family and yourself, not to mention your clients who aren't being helped with the thing that you've been created to help them with the way that you desire. I do want you to stay till the end, because I have something exciting to share if you are really ready to start and scale your calling in 2022. So let's talk about the big challenges and the reality of where you find yourself. Whether you are disengaged because you're trying to figure it out so much, whether you're just simply, when you get down to it, you're actually just afraid, and that's okay. I want you to know that that is extremely normal. That is part of what I love coaching and teaching and encouraging you on, is how to not let that fear hold you back from what God's calling you to do. It's truly, truly just a feeling, and it's not the truth. And the reality that in doing so, you're actually just stuck where you've been for a very, very long time, which is spending so much time trying to figure out how to get it out in the world, or how it won't work in the world. And so it's not in the world, and you're just kind of stuck in that same cycle of trying to get there, right? So, like I said, you're disengaged, right? You may find yourself, even if you are like with your family or with a loved one or doing something you enjoy, you kind of have your mind in this other place of what it could look like, how you could get it out there. You're stuck, okay? You're afraid. And so what happens is you go into this little cycle over here. It's the start and quit cycle. I call it, I'm going to mute that. There we go. The start and quit cycle. You start, you get all your notebooks. I mean, if I could show you all my notebooks, you've got your computer and you've got your phone, you've got a pencil, and like you are going to figure it out, and you're ready to go, and you start it. And then what happens? You find yourself quitting again. So like I said, I truly just want to share with you how I am not like a unicorn, okay? I am truly just a testament and an example of what is possible for anyone, right? If you've watched my story or heard much of my story, you know that I spent about almost a decade, or probably a decade, in bedridden depression and anxiety. And when I say bedridden, I should have showed some other pictures of me smiling and living my life, but I was bedridden as soon as I got home. Okay, it was exhausting. And so to see what the Lord has done in my life, and through mindset work, through recovery, through coaching, through life coaching, that is, and just through what He has walked me through, is sometimes I get really teary and choked up, but it's truly, truly just, I really don't have words to express the gratitude that I have, and just the shock and the awe, honestly. And so I want for you to know that I am not a special unicorn. This is not like that's not a field of like daisies and rainbows. Okay. This is real life. 5 children, a mom who didn't think she had what it took for anything in life, much less being an entrepreneur. And here we have 2 6-figure businesses in less than 3 years. And I attribute a lot of that to, and kind of the difference I see in what has allowed me to be successful, and then some of my colleagues. And that is how I learned how to redefine failure and turn that into figuring it out. And it's so, so interesting when we start reshaping and transforming and renewing the stories we've believed about ourselves and stepping into truth about who God has created us to be. We have a redefined and a rebuilt self-worth. And that is actually the foundation of why I'm here and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it's interesting because when I think I shared this in one of the other videos, but when I was really, really struggling in depression, and I took this little, like that thing they give you, the depression scale or whatnot. When I took that again, like 2 or 3 years later, where I was like 100% better, but still just had some like things go, just kind of like wanted to work through a few things. I only scored like 3 points higher, but my life looked completely different. And it was all from this place of self-worth. So it's really, really important as it relates to your business is having that foundation and that strength and having built and rebuilt your self-worth. Oh, whoopsie days. So we're going to talk here. I'm going to give you kind of a preview of these 5 shifts of what that looks like in how I teach my students, my clients, and what is the difference in what has allowed me to have that financial success, if you will. And I walk you through kind of defining what your success looks like. It might not be a dollar figure. Part of my success guarantee for myself is I know that I'm going to feel successful when I'm literally like laying on the couch and watching a show because I'm not overworking. So you get to decide what your success actually looks like. Maybe it's your phone. Success for you is not touching your phone after 6 p.m., right? So there's a lot that goes into what makes us successful. And so I can 100% say that I created a successful one-on-one private coaching business, private life coaching business from a place of peace and calm and staying present and engaged with my family. And honestly, that is my biggest success indicator. So how we do that is something that is really, really missing. And I do believe is what's holding you back is this little process right here. These are actually the 5 shifts. Okay. So that first shift is deciding. Okay. Because what's happening, and I'll go into this a little bit more in depth here in just a minute, but what is going wrong for you right now is that you think the decision to take this thing into the world that God's calling you to, whatever that may be, is negotiable, right? You're negotiating with yourself. You're deciding, and then you're undeciding, and you make the decision, and then you don't follow through with it. So a lot of the issue going on with where you find yourself is that you are just simply not deciding. Okay. So then once you decide what this thing is you're going to do, and it's a process I walk you through where you pick one thing. Okay. We're not picking a million different things. We're starting with one thing. You implement that thing. All right. After you have implemented this idea of yours, you then have an opportunity to redefine the growth opportunity you had, the learning opportunity. Notice I didn't say failure. When something doesn't go wrong as you have planned, that is not failure. That is how you redefine the failure as growth, as learning, as troubleshooting, and then you revise it. Because see, what's happening is a lot of people stay stuck over here. They make a decision, they implement, like you create modules, you create a programming, you create your idea over and over and over, and you decide to redefine and revise it ahead of time. You haven't actually given it a chance because you have been afraid that it's going to feel like failure, right? It's going to feel embarrassing. It's going to feel like, I told you so, you knew you wouldn't get there, but you have to allow yourself to implement, then redefine the troubleshooting, you revise this one decision, and then you commit to it again. All right. So let me just tell you a little story of the journey I have taken as it relates to business endeavors. Okay. So I'm going to like stop sharing my screen for a minute, which is going to be amazing when it comes to trying to get it back. But oh well, here we are. So let's talk about the history of the things I have done in my business endeavors. I mean, we can go back to when I was like 9 and I was babysitting. I didn't even know I was entrepreneurial because, my background was actually education. I was a teacher for many years. But anyway, I actually loved creating my business, my babysitting business. Okay. Because it was like, okay, if I have 2 kids, it's such and such dollars per hour. If it's like Monday through Thursday, but Friday and Saturday, it's going to be this amount an hour and it's going to be this many kids. So I was like figuring fun things like that out years ago. And so if you feel like, well, that's my problem, Amberly, I have this huge passion and enjoyment, but I don't have the business mind. Well, that's because you're not implementing these 5 shifts. All right. As you do that, as you look at your financial goal, as we walk through the success formula and the offer formula and what it is you will be doing together, that will actually happen and it will become quite fun for you. So if you thought, oh, well, I just don't have a business mind, that's not how this is working. I didn't have a business mind. I didn't realize either. So that will come once you start implementing. All right. So there was the babysitting business. Then I went into education and I was always like trying to figure out how I could add to my salary. So I was tutoring on the side. I was teaching summer school. I was doing like an aftercare program. And so that was kind of just adding to what was already present in my life. Then I had Annalie, my oldest. She's almost 15 and it seems weird. And I stayed home with her and really just wanted like a little bit of extra money. Because I kind of just wanted to like buy fun things or something that I wanted. So I got tutor. I mean, I got my certification in Orton Gillingham tutoring, which is a dyslexic program for kids. And so I was tutoring out of my home. I was doing that. Then when Emmeline came along, like 16 months later, seemed a little too crazy for me. I was able to work it in with 1 child, but I wasn't able to do that for 2, or I wasn't able to figure it out, I should say. And so I stopped doing that. And then, so all the things I've done, right? I think I did creative memories. I think I tried to do that Stamp It Up. I've done doTERRA oils. I've done, oh my gosh, the faster way, obviously. I mean, I have done a lot of things and I would get super excited about the new thing and I would like brainstorm it. And so that's what I'm talking about when you redefine failure. Because when I went in to do this, when I got my life coaching certification, Bray was like, oh, I mean, of course he believed in me, but he was like, no, we kind of are having a history of like starting things. And I'm like, nope, this one's it. This one's it. And I just knew that in my heart. I had the belief that God was calling me to something. And I was going to just keep taking one next step to figuring it out over and over and over. I do believe that mindset of redefining failure and not looking at all those things my entire life as having failed because I changed my mind, but allowing those to have been the things that helped me figure it out. Okay. See how that shift just totally changes your mind and you eliminate yourself from all the like guilt and regret. And, I'm such a failure. Like I don't have what it takes. I shouldn't have tried. I tried that and it didn't work. So this won't either. It eliminates all of that. And as you start eliminating those things that are filled with doubt and disbelief about yourself and who God's created you to be and what he's called you to do in the world, you don't see yourself as failing. You're allowing yourself to keep figuring it out. Okay. So let's go back to here. Okay. That went faster. Well, yay. So that's kind of the journey that I have taken. And so I want you to be able to look at your journey as well and sort of go ahead and redefine now those things that have looked like and felt like failure. And, redefine those as having figured it out. Okay. So I want to know so far, how do you find yourself having related to my journey that I've shared either today or that you have read from me in the past? How do you relate to my journey? Go ahead and share it in the chat. Kind of what's kind of speaking to you so far. What is a little bit of an aha for you? What have you already decided to do differently just in these first, 15 or 20 minutes? Put it in the chat. I won't pull that up right now, but I do want to go back and look at it because I love hearing about where you are and what part of my journey is helpful for you so I can share more of that as well. So once again, my promise to you is that you are going to know the 5 major shifts that you need to make in your life to launch, relaunch, start, scale, and stop quitting on yourself for good. Okay. I want you to make a decision that will save you time and money today and fill you with the belief in what is possible. You know it's possible. I want you to know it's possible to have a simple, balanced, and scalable business while you show up for your family and yourself the way that you desire. Oh, now I'm having FOMO. I want to go look in the chat. So once again, those 5 shifts are decide, implement, redefine the failure, revise, and commit. Okay. So here are the 5 big mistakes that are happening if those 5 shifts aren't happening. Here's one. You think that it has to be right before you can start. You think that it has to look a certain way before you can start. The other big mistake is that you think it has to stay that way forever. Okay, that's that redefining failure. I mean, there are constant iterations going on in my business. You think it has to be complicated for success. If you are comparing yourself to other people who are launching things or who are scaling their businesses or marketing, and you see just this big hype and this big presentation and all of those things, you are not going to get started because you think that's the way it has to be. That was the way it was for me, even when I first started with life coaching. And I was like, whoa, hold up. I am not doing another business this way where I am in this constant, draining launch mode of exhaustion and hype and adrenaline. Like my body doesn't respond well to that. So I'm not going to create a business like that. It doesn't have to be complicated. I'll share this in a few moments, but what I teach you is really just the essentials you need to have a 6-figure coaching business, as far as like how to invoice your clients, how to schedule your consults, right? It actually can be very, very simple to be successul. And most importantly, the big mistake that we make is that we think it has to require a lot of time away from our family. So we just decide it's not worth it and we can't do it. And which is good. Like, I'm glad that it's not worth time away from your family, but I also want you to know it doesn't require time away from your family if you're doing it the right way, right? So let's talk about how we decide. Okay, this is really, really interesting because I'm a former indecisive person, because how we decide and do one thing is how you do everything. Look at the pattern of this in your life: ruminating, holding yourself back, being hesitant, right? Let me research it to death. Let me try 1 million other things. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're not stepping into your self-worth and your belief and your confidence in who God has created you to be and do this thing He's called you to create and be and do, that's how you're operating in your regular life too. Hesitant, cautious, risk avoidant, too afraid to put yourself out there. Imagine if you were telling your children that you're telling yourself. Don't try it. It might not work out. You better stay safe in your little bubble of indecision, right? How we do one thing is how we do everything. So I want to share a story with you about Terry. Terry has been a client of mine. And when she came to me, she kind of had one foot in one door and one foot in another door. Okay. One door that she had her foot in was a program that was run by somebody else, and she was coaching it. And it was just constant changes. It was constant, just kind of like you would see kind of this place you could get to in the business, but it just never seemed extremely possible. And it took a lot of time and effort and energy to get there. And it was like, this is not like the results are not equaling the time and the effort and the energy I'm putting into this. So she had one foot in that door, and then she had her other foot in her own door. Okay. She's actually a fitness and nutrition coach, and she has certification in like macro teaching and training and a lot of other things, to where she could really be a life coach in her fitness and nutrition thing. Because, by the way, life coaching is truly coaching people in an area of life. It's, it could be parenting. I have someone who's interested in interior design, helping people create their home as a coaching niche, fitness and nutrition, overwhelmed moms, like whatever that passion is for you. And you're like, oh, I don't even know where I land. Is this life coaching? It probably is. But with Terry, hers was not that she couldn't be successful in this thing she was creating, but the inability to stick to the decision to do so, where it was no longer a negotiation. It was just a decision. The decisions we make are so important. So, like I said before, we take that decision and we implement it, right? Now, there are some mistakes we're making that are kind of maybe not allowing you to go ahead and implement the decision you've made, maybe because you don't know how to take that action from a place of simplicity and belief. That's a huge thing. But when we do implement from a place of simplicity and belief, we set ourselves up for success no matter what, right? By telling yourself something along the lines of, this is just the beginning. This, whether it would, depending on what it is that you're doing, that first time you do it has nothing to do with that first time you do it. It's setting you up for the second time and the third time and the fourth time, right? You're just taking that first step of deciding and then implementing. That's all you focus on at first. Danielle came to me, and she was doing really well in the business that she was coaching. This was not her own one-on-one business idea, but she was finding herself comparing herself a lot to the way other people might be doing their business, and really just kind of wanted some strategies. And I will tell you all day long that it's never, ever about the how only. It's always about the who before the how, because your heart and your mind is about 95% of creating a successful business. The strategy is 5%. Okay. Because none of the things you will learn as it relates to social media marketing or email marketing or sharing what you do, whether it's in person, face to face, whether you have a booth at an event, a flyer at your kid's school, advertising what you do, none of that matters. Like how you get your offer to people if you don't believe in yourself in the process. So it was really, really fun to watch her show up completely differently from the work we did as it relates to her presence on social media. So there's just so many things we have to learn, right? So then you've implemented, well, now you need to redefine the failure, redefine imperfection as figuring it out, as learning. You don't have to have your entire program completed before you start offering it to people. You don't even really know until you start working with people what their true problems are, how you actually help them solve them. You need to give yourself space to revise it. And that what happens is you're so afraid of what it's going to feel like if you do have to revise it, that you don't even do it. You spend all this time creating it before you're actually using it, and you don't use it. So I also want to share a story with you about a client, Tess. Tess came to me. Actually, what's so funny is And that's why so much of this work that I do and how I coach and how I teach is helpful, because you sometimes have to clean up the cobwebs in your mind, like I did with my depression and anxiety, before you can really uncover how to where God's really calling you and leading you. Tess came from a very high corporate position in a well-known company that I will not mention right now because she's still with them part-time, but she hired me to help her transition from basically giving up her best life for someone else to live there. She was overworking. She was constantly stressed. Her family was feeling the effects of it. And so I walked her through that transition in such a way that she is now sensing a completely different career path, if you will, as it relates to coaching and consulting other corporate moms, potentially like her, or taking her area of expertise, which is finance, and taking that into small businesses and coaching them in their like a revenue stuff, a bunch of stuff I don't even understand. But it's so fun coaching her. So I just want you to say, I just want you to know that when you look at these shifts of deciding and implementing and redefining failure, you're able to clear up some things in your mind and in your heart that are also preventing you from moving this business idea of yours forward. So when we revise, there's a little strategy to evaluate and troubleshoot. Okay. These letters stand for what went well, right? So we automatically skip this part, or if we are in this part, we only look at, I'll share with you in a minute. So we look at what went well. You'll always look at that first, because your brain's natural tendency is to tell you everything that went wrong, right? Like we didn't know. But it just like nails it into the ground in your brain, and you like can't even see the forest for the trees. And you are like, oh, see, told you I failed. This is a failure. But instead you start with what went well. Okay. And that opens your brain up to decide, instead of just to quit, you decide, okay, well, what didn't go well? Sorry. I'm like, what are my letters? Okay. What didn't go well? And then you list all of those things out. Those things don't mean you failed, right? Because you have is just along a column of what went well. So you have what went well, then you have what didn't go well. Let's just look at it. It's not a problem. Allow yourself to feel the emotions that come up. And then what are you going to do differently? Okay. That's how you evaluate and troubleshoot and revise. This step, this shift is so absent from what you have done before and what you're carrying into your new thing, or where you are right now, that this is where you quit. And this is how you're going to stop quitting on yourself. So I want to tell you about my client, Amber. Amber is an incredible fitness and nutrition coach. She has such a passion for her clients. She has had an incredible program created for almost 3 years. And she experienced one of the biggest shifts a week or so ago in a coaching call, where I simply just was coaching her and we were talking, and I said, let me just lay this out for you. Okay. So this came down to some heart and mind stuff, but also some math stuff. I was like, and I explained to her the offer formula that I teach. And there's an actual formula of how many offers you need to make of your idea, how many no's you have to get. Yes, I make you get no's, because that's what leads to the yeses. And so I laid it out. I was like, so here's your financial goal, right? So we take your number, your dollar figure, and we talk about your program. We talk about who you help. We talk about how we package it and price it. And then we do the offer formula of what it takes to get there. And she was like, oh, wait, is that it? She was like, that seems so easy. I'm like, I know. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, is because I see so many Christian women thinking it isn't easy to do it this way. And anyway, so it's just kind of like mind blowing. So then once again, you go through those 4 elements and then you commit, right? You commit to the decision you already made. You don't quit on yourself. You don't convince yourself that you're a failure. You just decide again. And you start that process I just walked you through over. And this is one of my favorite quotes. One of my friends who's an influencer shared it the other day. It's like so far down on my feed, I'm about to repost it. But I just want you to know, when you finally get to those places where you're about to put your thing out there and you're like, oh, my mom's going to see it. That person I used to work with is going to see it. Oh my gosh, my kid's teacher's going to see it. Oh, I can't do this. Right? I just want you to know you won't be criticized by someone doing more than you. Right? Rather, those people are going to be there. You're going to be criticized. I told you, I'm going to tell you the truth. This is not unicorns and daisies and fairy dust and sunshine and roses all the time. You will be criticized, but you won't be criticized by someone doing more than you. And so I mentioned those people that I just said, it might be your mom, might be your kid's teacher, which, by the way, my mom was like, good luck on your, or what did she say? It was so sweet. She said, good luck on going live today. And I have my kids' teachers, present, past, they haven't criticized me, right? So I don't mean that in any way. I just mean that you are going to have these thoughts pop up in your head about being criticized, about, exposing your thoughts and your work, depending on what you do, out into the world. And it's not going to be accepted by everyone. And that is okay, because there's a certain number of people that God wants you to work with in your special gifting and talent. And those are the people you're here for. Those are the lives that you were called to change and to serve and to help, because they can't do on their own what they need you to help them do. That's why your thing exists. That's why your idea is there. So these are just some totally interesting statistics, so apparently, and I am not like I am woman, hear me roar kind of thing. I 100% believe that my first and primary calling is in my home as a wife and a mother. So if I can't do that to the fullest and do this in a way that honors that, I'm not doing this, right? So, but interestingly enough, the US has 12.3 million women-owned businesses. The US women-owned businesses generate 1.8 trillion a year. There are 114% more women entrepreneurs than there were 20 years ago. 62% of women entrepreneurs cite their business as their primary source of income. And here's the fun part. Life coaching is part of the 2.85 billion global industry of professional coaches, according to the ICF, which is the international, what is it? Sally, you would know, the coaching federation or something. I can't remember it. But interestingly enough, and I didn't put this on here, is that I did see that by the year, I think it's 2025 or 2026, the life coaching industry. So whether that falls under general life coaching, business life coaching, fitness and nutrition life coaching, there's so many fun niches. Y'all, I have a colleague and she is a weight loss. She's a life coach like me. She is a weight loss coach for quilters. So please don't try to tell me that your idea isn't going to work. Anyway, I read that the life coaching industry in 2025 or 2026 is actually going to be 395 billion. Is it million? I don't know. So the big question is, how long are you going to stay disengaged from yourself, your family, your future, the person you have desired to be, doing what God has called you to do and what you were created to do, afraid and stuck trying to figure it out on your own? I want you to make a decision today. I want you to make a decision right now that you're either going to launch your thing, you're going to relaunch your thing, you're going to start your thing, you're going to decide to learn how to scale your thing. But what you're going to make a decision today to do right now is to stop quitting on yourself. Last July, so July of 2020, I was reading a book, and there was a statement in there that was so convicting to me as a mom, where I realized I had been ruminating on this idea, what I'm doing now, what I did all of last year, of that I had this idea that I had been too scared to go out and do on my own. I would brainstorm on it. I would think about it. I would look at other people doing something similarly. And then I just wouldn't. I had one foot in one door and one foot in my door. And I read this statement. I don't even know exactly what it said. I have it written down somewhere, but I realized if at 42, I was 42 years old, did not have the courage to do this thing that God had called me to do, had been on my heart, had been on my mind, if I wasn't willing to take a courageous step, being willing to fail if that is what happened, which we know we only redefine that. There's no failing, there's only learning and figuring it out. But if I wasn't willing to do that, how was I going to disciple these 5 children, especially my oldest that was going into high school, on how to step confidently and courageously in conviction and in the calling God had on their lives if I wasn't willing? So I had to make a decision to stop compromising the areas of my life that I was holding myself back. And I now look back at that decision, and I look back at the last year, and I look at what I'm moving into, and I know it's just the beginning. And I use that story, and I use that testimony, and I use that. It wasn't easy, right? I spent some tears in that. I had to really face I don't even know what it was, the things I didn't want to feel, to move forward in where God was calling me. So I want you to make a decision today, no matter what, that you are going to also, because not only is it important to, the clients you've been created to bring your thing to, but it's also important for the people that you love the most who are watching. And in addition to that, it's important to you because it is time for you to move past your glass ceiling of what you were created to do. I want to know, are you willing to stop compromising? Because when you say yes to one thing, you do say no to another, right? When you say yes to courage, you say no to compromise. So saying no to compromise may mean saying yes to your calling. Once again, the 5 shifts that you need is to just make decisions, implement those decisions, redefine that failure, which is where it all normally stops. Through the evaluation I teach you, then you revise it, and then you simply commit to this original decision over and over. If you don't, right? If you decide that you're not going to decide today to step out in courage, then you're going to remain the way you came, distracted, disengaged, afraid of failing, and stuck. More importantly, this is the number one thing I hear from women who have this big thing that they're not putting out in the world, is that their biggest fear is that they're going to live with the regret that they didn't. So you didn't do it for you, you didn't do it for your family, and most importantly, you also didn't do it for the people you were created to help. You're the expert in what they need. And you're willing to trade that to live a life of regret. So my big question for you is, if this has resonated with you, your big question for me is, well, okay, so how are you going to help me? I'm going to tell you. I want to tell you, though, this is not going to be for everyone. Okay, there's almost 100 people who signed up for this teaching. It's at a crazy time of day, so I'll be sending out the replay for y'all. But this is not for you if you want to remain cozied up in the security blanket of doubt, fear, and indecision. This is not for you if you want to keep playing it safe And this is not for you if you don't want to dig really deep and finally go after this, yes, this thing that you feel called to do and that you have a desire to do and you want to do and you're excited about doing, but more importantly, that you're not going after who you want to become in the process. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to the Christian Life Coach Academy. Y'all, I'm so excited. So, what is the Christian Life Coach Academy? So, there is a, did I go too far? Whoopsie. Yes, let's not go too far. Okay. So, in the Christian Life Coach Academy, I teach you the process that has allowed me to create 2 six-figure businesses in less than 3 years. One of those obviously being the most important one, which is the one-on-one private coaching business. Okay. So in the Christian Life Coach Academy, you will learn the heart, the mind, and the math behind what has made this possible. Like I said, I'm a living, breathing example of what is possible for you. So there is a process that I teach, and I would just like for us to all take note that these all start with S's, and that's just really fun. But we have the kind of the pillars here of the heart and the mind, which is your self-worth, just this being defined by Christ, because you must know that what you do matters and that you're worth it to the extent that you actually do it, right? That might be where you're stuck. The other thing is, notice this is SOUL instead of SOLE, where you are the sole proprietor of your life and, of course, your business, right? Where you're taking personal ownership rather than making excuses, right? Where you're owning the parts you haven't figured out and you're owning the parts that have kept you stuck where you are. There's a definite change of focus. Then, of course, you will have the surrender. This is noting that you like changing what you can. And this will allow a new level of trust and belief, because as Christian women, and that's why I really feel called to this space. Yes, you can have your like financial goals and you can have revenue goals and you can have like really what you want your business to look at. But at the end of the day, God owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, and you're never going to do any more or any less than he has created. So if you are redefining this self-worth and you're taking ownership, like there are some things that need to shift for you to even see what success is available for you. But then there's no more failure, right? Because you're already surrendering to what he is enabling you to do. And so you just go for it. He'll decide what that looks like. These are, when I talk about shift here, these are the strategies for managing your mind. There is an actual strategy that I teach you to do each and every day so that you maintain the mental and emotional stability that's necessary to continue on in your business. Even one of my clients, it's on my website, but I have another client who came to me who, I'll share her name, Jennifer. Y'all, Jennifer just relaunched her business and her husband has moved out. She is going through abandonment and betrayal and a handful of other things that in the past would have crumbled her. And it hasn't been like a painless experience, but she's learning how to go through one of the worst things in her life while believing in herself and what God has called her to do. So you will learn how to show up in your business when you know how to manage your mind and your heart as it relates to just all aspects of life, right? We don't eliminate the negative feelings. We learn how to feel them. We learn how to sit in them. We learn how to allow them to fuel our lives and doing what we've been called to do. The most important thing I will teach you is Sabbath. I don't do anything on Sundays. I took an entire week off last week and I will still meet my revenue goals. And so I want you to know that you don't have to overwork. I want you to learn how to rest in what you have, because if you don't have it here, right? If you don't feel successful or content, before you reach whatever that milestone is, you're not going to feel that when you get there. You choose to feel that daily. And one way we do that is we rest in what we have by creating a calmer life and business. Then, yes, honey, we're going to move all into what you want over here, all this math. I call this the math, right? You take your story, you use it to make an impact, believing what you do matters and you're worth it. You use scripture. There's truth in life and in business. Walk in integrity according to what God calls you to do as it relates to your business. Yes, we're going to get into the systems. I have the essential, I think it's like 5 or 6 things you actually need that with very little cost to create a 6-figure private coaching business. It doesn't have to be complicated. Like I said before, strategy is only 5% of the equation to success, because who you are matters more than how you do it when it comes to being successful. And then the success here, you get to define what that might look like in revenue, what that might look like in your daily life. Is success for you stopping at 7 and sitting on the couch and watching a show and being with your family? I hope so, because success is creating a calmer life and business. Okay, so what does it look like? I do want you to know that I do have a special invitation for those of you on this call or watching the replay. And I said that in the beginning, I do have a special invitation for you. So I do want to tell you more about that. I want you to know that the expectations for this are that where you are to where you want to be does require making new decisions, learning how to make decisions differently. Like I said, I'm going to answer all of your questions so you can determine if it is going to be a good fit for us to work together. And if so, then we'll obviously talk about the next steps. This is a program. Each week, we will have a live group coaching call where Amberly, AKA me, and your fellow peers get coaching on the struggles you're experiencing in creating the coaching business you desire. Because what happens is, that's why I love life coaching in business, because life comes up. So you get the added benefit of watching other women with the same frustrations you have, walking through the same thing you are walking through, see what they're learning too. A lot of my like biggest learning things have come through watching others be coached. And all of our calls are recorded and they're going to be stored in a member site for you to watch later. There will be a community. This is a private and exclusive community on Facebook where you will ask questions, get support, make connections, receive feedback, share, celebrate your personal wins, the wins of others. You'll do your evaluations there. You'll go there for coaching too, questions and answers. And it's going to be a safe place that encourages and supports women on this same journey as you. Additionally, the biggest asset to this program is you build your commitment, okay? With your personal success guarantee that you create, this is the place you stop quitting on yourself once and for all. This is 12 weeks together where you have the permission to go at your own pace, or you go ahead and set after those goals you want to accomplish, even in your first 30 days. This happens. So for those of you who are on this replay or you're watching this with us live now, I do have a bonus offer because I'm all about the action taking, right? Deciding you're ready to do this. So that is going to be 2 VIP coaching calls with the people who take action today. So what does it cost? Okay, so right now, my personal pricing is for the 12 weeks of group coaching calls right now is at $5,000. You add in the bonus coaching calls, that's $1,500, plus the 25 hours of coursework that have gone into creating the actual program is priced honestly at $19,000. And I am doing the special price for y'all at $2,500. So once again, the total value of the investment that you make in your life and in your business and in actually finally making the decision to take this idea and this passion and this purpose out into the world is at 2,500. That's why I've been so excited about that, because I'm like, oh my gosh, you can literally make your investment back very quickly. And not only that, you're going to learn how you repeat that process over and over and over, just like I did. So yes, there is an upfront investment, but when you look at the return on that, if you implement the coaching, implement the teaching, then kind of a no-brainer. So here are some of the results from, I mentioned Amber a minute ago. So like Amber had the deliverables, right, for 3 years, but she was not actually delivering them. And so within 3 weeks of working together, her mindset had already changed in such a way, even as it relates to understanding the success model, that she's like ready to make offers to people. And I definitely teach you how to do that as well. I mean, all the way from like giving you my consult template. She was like, oh, this is easy. I mentioned Jennifer, who is a faith and wellness coach, her life literally in shambles. Her passion and her purpose, I mentioned you're not going to be criticized by someone doing more than you, was definitely criticized. But she's learned how to have her own back. She's relaunched, rebranded, and is making offers with a financial goal in mind, especially now that she's got to financially support herself. And she's done this in less than 3 months. Katie is a current client of mine, and she is the mother unstucker. And she has a passion from recovery and extreme life experiences to take those to other women. Within 2 months, she is clear on who she's helping, how many clients she needs to reach her financial goal, what and how she's going to coach them, and completely launching her business in less than 2 months. So just to go again over the pricing, it's the 3 months of coaching, which is valued at the $5,000, the 2 VIP bonus calls for the $1,500, the coursework, which all adds up to about $19,000 of the investment in your business and your revenue, and in doing this thing God's called you to do successfully, simply, peacefully, confidently, and calmly, being the mom and the woman that you desire to be in the process. Because I'll tell you this, no amount of money in your business that you will ever make, and that goes back to my client Tess, who stepped down from an extremely profitable position, because no amount of money is ever worth the ones you love most. So I do want you to know that I really, really thought about this investment and what is best for you and how to get your business going and how to ensure that you're doing it in the right way at this price, which is the $2,500. I do have 2 investment choices for you, which if you know, I don't actually usually do a payment plan, but I really, really, really want to make this possible for those of you that have been held back by that, or you haven't seen or allowed yourself to make that investment before. So the monthly payment will be $1,000. That's obviously for 3 months. It's at $3,000. And actually, Catherine, do you mind, for those of you who are ready just to lock in on the VIP coaching calls and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so in, done, see you then. You can go ahead. Catherine's going to put that in the chat, I believe. So that's the $1,000 payments for 3 months. That would start today, but then you just pay it 3 times. So even though we won't start until January, you'll basically be paid off by, midway through the program. Or you can go ahead and pay the full payment, which I always personally do. That's the $2,500. And so obviously you have a little bit of a savings there. Okay, let me answer your questions to see if this helps. So your question is, what if I don't know what I want to do yet? So this program is designed for both the starter and the scaler. In this program, we will focus on the heart and the mind behind your marketing and the math. Using the deliberate method, we're going to walk through who you need to be to do what you've been called to do, everything you need to start and scale a business to 6 figures will be provided. A lot of the clients I'm working with are wanting to just hit 40K or 50K or 60K. So all of that's available for you. So it just takes the guesswork out of having to figure it out on your own. And I will tell you that it's possible that you start making money within 30 days. So will this work for me? This program will give you all the tools and the coaching that you need to build a business. Whether you're new to business or starting a new business or scaling an existing idea, you're truly going to have all you need to reach your goals. And your success, though, is based on your willingness to commit to yourself, the process, and to do the work. I want you to be open to the coaching. This is stuff you've never known before or never seen before. Use the tools. Show up consistently and you will get results. If you have this history of quitting and starting and quitting, then these 3 months together are going to give you that grace you need and that support to redefine failure and show up as the version of yourself that you desire to be. You're truly going to be amazed at the growth and the breakthroughs that you will experience with this coaching that you receive personally and that your peers receive as well. So one question is, well, how quickly can I expect the results? I understand with a financial investment, that's a huge, huge question. I don't even think I've mentioned this, but I've spent $70,000 in the last year on personal and professional development and coaching, and I'm bringing all of that to you so you don't have to invest that amount, okay? I am literally giving you just the basics of what you need to create that six-figure business. I want you to show up consistently, watch and apply the coaching, commit to the methods that I teach you, and be ready to have your mind blown. Clients have made decisions about what they were called to do, decided how they were going to offer it, started making those offers, and have made money within 2 weeks of working together. So everyone starts at a different place. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to embrace being a beginner so you will learn your way to where you desire to be and make an impact serving those you're called to help. So this was a question earlier, but yes, there is a program where your passion and purpose is taken seriously. So I want to meet you right where you are. And I want you to show up deeply committed to the journey wherever you begin. Like I said, I've invested over $70,000 in professional and personal development in the last year so that you don't have to. I've literally taken the best of the best and combined it for you based on how I have done that as a believer in integrity. And so I'm giving you the simplest path to this business you want to create while making it affordable, especially if you haven't started making money in your business yet. If you keep quitting before you start, or if you aren't giving your life and business what it takes to make it happen, which is an investment, and it's also because you're missing the tools inside this program. So our calls will be Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. I record all the calls and I will store them in your member site to watch on your own time. You can also submit something for me to answer on the call as well as in the Facebook group. Some of my biggest breakthroughs are not in my own coaching, but when I implement someone's coaching that I've watched. You often do learn more by watching, others get coached. So if you truly, gosh, are y'all seeing these imperfect typos? So if you truly do want to step into the calling God has for you and reach your financial goals, you must invest in the education and the tools to guarantee your success. So if you haven't started or scaled your calling, it's because you're missing the tools inside this program that I will teach you. So why is it important for me to have coaching? So chances are, if you have a child above the age of 5, you've explored the wonderful world of, okay, perfect. Thanks, Katie. I'll have to look at that in a minute. Some of my biggest breakthroughs, like I said, wait, where was I? Oh, wait, here we go. Okay. So if you have a child above the age of 5, you've explored the wonderful world of extracurriculars, or just simply like I pay someone to coach my child in reading, even though I'm certified to teach them. Thank you. Okay. So virtually every extracurricular under the sun, your child will have a coach, and you want them to have a coach, someone who will guide them and encourage them to become a better version of themselves, someone who will take all their raw talent, enlighten them to their true potential. And it's easy for us to embrace that belief that a great coach can have a life-shaping impact or tutor or whatever it is on our child, but not believe the same could hold true for us. And that's a self-worth issue. And the business that God has called you to create deserves that. So that is the end of our presentation today. Like I said, you may ask me any questions. If you do have a question, what has happened here? Please go to the chat feature. Additionally, you can, what's going on? You can go, oh, thank you, Catherine. You can go to my website, actually, which, oh, let me stop this sharing. Here we go. Which is Amber, if you want to kind of read a little bit more. I'm typing. There are some more questions there. Y'all are so sweet. I love reading this. Oh. Hey, Misty, I didn't know you were on. Y'all, this is so great. Oh, okay. Oh, I love this. Y'all are so awesome. I love these comments. Thank you so much. So like I said, if you have a question, you can raise your hand. See how I just raised my hand? And I can answer your question. Like I said, you can type it in the chat. You can message me. You can email me. I'm really, oh, I didn't even tell you. It's on the website. Let me pull up the website. We start January 4th. Let's see here. There we go. So yeah, so here we go. This is the website, and this is, you can also register here if you did not enroll from the link that was posted already. I haven't checked, but so here is some more information. You can enroll here. It's like I said, it's a 12-week program, the Christian Life Coach Academy. We start January the 4th. These two videos, if you haven't had a chance to watch them, are here. We will start January the 4th. And is that the Wednesday, actually? Whatever that Wednesday is. Right after the new year. And within 3 months, y'all, you can be doing this thing that you have the desire to do. So anyway, that is everything that I have for you today. I'm so grateful for you for being here. And I hope you'll have a great day. Bye. Oh, you know what?